Hey, good morning, Wayfinders. Donnie Hall joining us today with Miss Nikki Cloutier, or better known as Nikki Thompson in my world. Owner, founder, creator of Blue Line Fitness Testing, and former corrections officer. I've invited Nikki to join us today. She's got something extremely special to announce, but I also wanted her to share her inspirational story of where she came from and how she's got to be where she's at, and hopefully spread some positive messaging to everyone out there who's kind of, looking at darker days. So no further ado, Miss Nikki, thank you so much. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hey, thanks, Donnie. And hello, everybody on this group. First of all, huge shout out for the work that you guys do every day. I know as first responders, we go kind of uncelebrated, and every day is a fight, and every day we put our lives on the line for the communities that we serve and protect. And so for that, I just want to say thank you, and you are appreciated and you are loved, and I definitely have your six. Second of all, so my name's Nikki. I was a correctional officer for 17 years here in Edmonton, as well as in Red Deer in Alberta, and started out as a frontline officer. I have a degree in criminology from the U of A, which was awesome. Great experience. Has nothing to do whatsoever with the actual duties that you do day to day, but it was a great learning experience, and I got some great connections and networks out of it, which was fantastic. Started as a frontline officer when I was 22, that bright, doe-eyed 22-year-old that thought she could save the world. And very quickly learned, as I said, that what I learned in school was not the reality in the case of actual day-to-day activities. But I did love the job. Again, started working the units with the inmates, just a regular frontline officer, correctional peace officer. And then after 5 years, I moved into the supervisory role. That was unheard of at the time. I was very young. I was only 27. As a female in a very male-dominated environment, there was a lot of hate and anger thrown my way for becoming a supervisor that young. And as a female, a lot of older males did not want to be told what to do by a kid, essentially. So it was a little bit of a tough slog as a supervisor, for sure. I definitely had to prove that I knew what I was doing, and I had to prove, that I was a good leader. Which again it can be super challenging. At the time too, I was on our tactical team. So I was a member of our tactical team for 3 years until I got pregnant with my first daughter. And then obviously kind of had to pull the pin after that. But it was, again, another great experience, a fantastic team that I was a part of. I was the only female on our tactical team at the time. And actually the last female that's been on it, they haven't put a female back on the tactical team after I left in 2009. So very special for me to be part of that. And then in 2011, I was part of the project team that opened up the new Edmonton Remand Center. So if you've been in Edmonton, you've seen we are the largest jail in Canada, the most technologically advanced jail in Canada, capacity to hold up to 1,952 inmates. Currently, our count is a little bit under 1,000. Just due to COVID, we've been keeping inmates out of population, just again, trying to keep the numbers down and the safety up. So I was on the project team for 2 years, doing all the opening of the center, doing all the training for the new staff that moved over. And then when the new center opened up, I moved into a management role over there. So I was one of the assistant deputy directors. So just underneath, there's the director, deputy director, assistant deputy director. So I was kind of that middle management level for a couple of years. And then I took on the role of deputy director, which is, again, just the shift manager. I had 150 staff on my shift. I had at the time when I was there, 1,500 inmates that we were in charge of on a rotational basis, shift rotations. And then I moved down to Red Deer Remand Center in that role, and went basically from the whale to the minnow, as I like to say. Red Deer has only about 120 inmates and 12 staff on shift. So big change, but a great experience, again, to go back to the roots of not having that 24/7 support, not having 24/7 medical, things like that. So yeah, it was a good shift. And then I quit corrections in September of 2019 to open up Blue Line Fitness Testing. And it has taken off in the last year. We have just been getting busier and busier and busier, which is super exciting. So yeah, it's been a great journey. A lot of steps along the way, a lot of learning along the way, but very great and very grateful for where I am today, because it wasn't always an easy road. So that's a little bit about me.
Awesome, Nick. And I really appreciate it. And I know, like, I want you to dive a little bit into the story, because I think there's a lot of people out there struggling with, like I mentioned earlier, a little bit of identity issue. They're in the system. There's actually some interesting reports. People who've been in the system 5 to 10 years. There's a high risk there right now, and that identity. Like, you were in there for how long exactly? Almost 10 years.
At the jail, 17.
17.
Yeah.
Wow, I keep forgetting we're not 20 anymore.
I know, right? Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Right. But it gets to a point where you're in there for so long, and the question becomes, like, obviously there's things that led you to quit, but the question becomes, like, what do I do now?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that identity is really challenging to understand. Like, what can I do to pull myself out of this and go and live and provide for my family as I see fit, not as a first line officer or first responder. So give us a little bit of the background of what led you to make that decision, and what actually caused you to leave corrections and to go pursue Blue Line fitness testing.
For sure, yeah. And like you said, that kind of 5 to 10 year range is a big one. So, within the first 5 years, it's still fun, it's still exciting, it's still new. You haven't seen everything and done everything. You're still learning. There's tons of different opportunities that you can still take part in. People are still kind of finding their feet. Usually we're younger, so shift work and the demands and things it puts on our body and on our minds isn't as hard, because we're younger. You're able to bounce back working night shifts, working doubles, 16 hours a day, working 10, 12, 14, 16 days in a row doesn't really phase you. Lots of times we don't have families at that point, or if we do, they're young. It's a young family, and there's that flexibility a little bit more to be able to do things and be able to work those shifts. And then, you kind of get to that 5 to 10 year range, and that's where we see, and I saw it with my staff all the time, a lot of the bitterness starts to set in. Maybe you've applied for a promotion in there and you didn't get it, and some numpty got it that, you don't think deserved it. And I mean, that happens all the time. Nepotism is rampant in first responder careers. It really is, across all. It doesn't matter where you work. Nepotism is huge. It really is. It's who you know. It's not what you know. It's not how good you are at your job. It's not that you're the best candidate and you have the best qualifications. It's who you know, and it's who's going to pull your name forward, and it's who's going to vouch for you, and who's going to be on that interview panel. And the other thing that we really suck at in first responder careers is like actual, clear, truthful communication. So, and I fought against this for years. It drove me nuts. There would be people that would come to me as a manager and say, how come I'm not getting an opportunity to be a supervisor? How come I'm not getting an opportunity to be a field training officer? How come I'm not getting these opportunities? And I would hear other people say to them, oh, well, if you just take this course, or, oh, well, if you just shadow, oh, well, if you just do these, 2 or 3 steps, for sure you're going to get it on the next interview, when they knew that this person would never be a supervisor for whatever reason. Either they just were not a good leader. Their work ethic sucked. They weren't able to separate friends and work, or they weren't able to separate work and life balance. Like there's multiple reasons why people shouldn't move into supervisor or leadership roles, but nobody has the balls to actually say that to people. And it used to drive me nuts. I would say, just tell this person that they're not going to be a supervisor, that in their career, I'm sorry, but that path is not for you. And these are the reasons why. Yes. Does it suck to be told that you're not good enough, or that you're not cut out for that role? Absolutely. But it is way less sucky to be told that than to think for the next 5 years of your career, oh, if I just keep doing this, I'm going to be picked. If I just keep doing this, I'm going to be picked. No, you're not. And so then people get super bitter, and they get super, like they get into that toxic spiral down where they feel like, I'm doing all this work and I'm busting my ass and nobody's noticing it, right? And like all it takes is somebody to say to them, listen, this role, this direction for you is not the way, but I think you'd be really freaking good at this or at this. Or you know what? You're one of our best frontline officers and I need you on the streets. I need you on the units. I need your skill set where you are. Yes, it sucks. You're going to be pissed off. You're going to want to have a pity party for yourself, right? When you get told that. I was told that. Do you know how many times I was told that as a female, straight out, you will never move up. You're too emotional, Nikki. You're too passionate. You're too much. You're too by the book. You're not by the book enough. You don't you're like you tell it like it is too much. You need to soften your tone. You need to like you can't be seen as being aggressive. And I was like, why not? Why can't I? I'm in a career with a bunch of men who can do that, but as a female, I'm not allowed to be aggressive. I'm not allowed to tell you like it is. I'm not allowed to say to you, you're not doing your job properly. Oh, no, that's too, no. But in the exact same meeting, a male officer would say that to somebody and it would be fine, right? So there are definitely those issues. And like I said, in that 5 to 10 year range, you really hit the wall. I know at 7 years, I was like, I got to get out. I can't do this. This is awful. I hate this. That was right after I'd become a supervisor. I was being shit on daily by people that were supposed to have my back. There's a really good study on, it's called station stress. And it basically speaks to all the stress that has nothing to do with the people that you're dealing with outside of, so like the inmates or the public or the stakeholders, your law enforcement agencies, partner agencies, the courts, the judges. It has nothing to do with that. It has to do with the exact people that are supposed to have your back, that are supposed to be working with you, that are supposed to be your partners, that are supposed to be your supervisors, that are supposed to be your leaders. And when that is not being done properly, that causes more stress on a first responder than anything else, than any other situation you would deal with. You could deal with death. You could deal with suicide, homicides, beatings. You could deal with child abuse, any of that stuff you can deal with. But when you go back to where it's supposed to be your safe place, your station, your unit, your shift, your partner, and those people are not supporting you, that is where the stress comes, because there's nobody else. There's nobody else who understands what you're going through besides those people. So when those people don't have your back, then you've hit that wall, right? So again, that kind of 7 to 10 year, right? Yes, a career in corrections will suck the life out of you. Amen. Absolutely. Thank you, John. But it's totally true. It's totally true. And so at that 7 year mark, I was like, what am I going to do? And I was very lucky in that the opportunity came up within the next 2 years for me to join that. I was successful in the competition to be on the project team for the new remand center, which was good. I got out of the shift work. I went to a Monday to Friday for 2 years. I did something totally different. I learned all about, detention grade furniture and radio systems and all sorts of different things, like camera systems. And I got to do a bunch of training, which was really great. It was also super difficult because let me tell you, correction officers are some of the hardest people to train in the entire world. They don't want to learn anything new. They don't want to be told what to do. If they don't agree with what you're saying, they're going to call you out right there in the middle of the class. And you have to be ready to be like, okay, right? So it was tough, but it was a nice change, right? And then when the new jail opened up, again, there was a whole bunch of different stuff that was going on with that caused stress. We had a strike, a massive walkout strike, where everybody, the whole entire jail walked out. And then within the next day, all of the other jails in Alberta walked out. And all that was left was myself and about 10 other managers, maybe 20 other managers. And at least half of those managers hadn't worked in an operational role in over 20 years. They had worked in offices. They had been doing projects. They were, like directors at different places, but they hadn't pushed buttons and dealt with inmates in 20 years. And so here I was running around trying to, answer questions and help everybody for 6 days. I worked 21 hours the first day. I worked 18, 16 for the next, with no sleep. We slept at the jail because we couldn't go home. There wasn't enough time to go home and get any sleep, like massive amounts of stress. And I was pregnant at the time with my second. And while I was on mat leave for that one, I was like, I got to get out again. I can't do this. I was Absolutely. At the time, I didn't realize how stressed I was. I just thought that I was kind of, like, oh, it's stressful, but I didn't realize the toll it took on my body. And I looked for jobs that entire year that I was off, and I didn't get interviews for anything. And it was super depressing because I was like, here I am. Now I've invested 11 years of my life into this career. I'm not good for anything else. All I have is a law enforcement background. My schooling is law enforcement. I have no workable skills to go anywhere else. And we joke about it at the jail, but like, who's going to hire you when we drop F-bombs like it's nobody's business? Like, you can't walk into an office environment and be like, hey, fucker, what's up? Right? Like, you can't do that. Right? So how do you can take the jail guard out of the jail, but you can't take, what is it? You can take the jail guard out of the jail, but you can't take the jail guard out of the jail guard, something like that, or the jail out of the jail guard, something like that. Right? So, I mean, I felt totally lost, and I ended up having to go back in 2014 and being like, this is awful. I hate this job. I came back. I said to my director when I came back, I did not want to come back. I did everything in my power not to come back, and I still had to come back. And he was like, oh, I'm very happy you came back. And I was like, yeah, you are, because I'm the only one that did anything around here. And now you saw that while I was gone. So I'm back. Hi, I'll help you out, right? I was very lucky when I came back that I went back onto a great shift. And I went back with some amazing partners. And a lot of the culture had shifted while I was off from the frontline staff. A lot of the negative staff had retired or had left because that new style of corrections was not for them. And so it was a good shift. We brought in a lot of new, younger staff who were excited, right? They were back in that first 5-year role where they were, this was fun and this was exciting, and they were in a new jail and we had all these cool toys and new things to play with, right? And so it was a good couple of years. And then again, you hit that, like corrections, I think any law enforcement goes in like these waves of like that really, really good, really, really shitty, really, really good, okay. Oh, really good. And so I was on that high, really good for a couple years. And then it was really, really shitty again. And I ended up, the reason I left corrections, I basically had my staff turn against me they were dealing with their own mental illness, which I knew a little of, but didn't know the extent of. And they were off their medication, and they essentially just turned on me and started putting in complaints, harassment, saying I was harassing them, all sorts of different things. And it ended up that the stress for myself got to be so much, again, that station stress, that I myself started to have panic attacks. I myself became extremely depressed. I myself was self-medicating with sleeping pills, caffeine pills to get up in the morning. I was drinking too much. I was drinking to blackout point so I could fall asleep. I was absolutely horrible with my family. I have 3 girls. And I was coming home and they were getting the absolute worst of me. They were getting me screaming at them every day, me being so hard on them. Why didn't you do this? What's wrong with you? Why isn't this done? How are you stupid? I was talking to them like I was talking to inmates at work. And like, I'm not proud to say it, I've told my kids to go lock up, right? Like that, I couldn't turn off work, Nikki, and become mom Nikki anymore. And that, when I realized that, I had to stop. I took time off. I really stopped and I went, who have I become? Who am I? Because I'm not Nikki anymore. I'm not me. I'm this crazy person. And I say crazy not in a bad way, but I was not me. I couldn't turn off the jail in me anymore. And that was like I said, I was suicidal. I was at the point where, the little voice in the back of your head starts talking, and most of the time you can ignore it, or you can say like, no, absolutely not. My girls need me. My husband needs me. I have friends that would miss me. My rugby team, my rugby community, the people that I love would miss me. And then that voice just gets a little bit louder, and then a little bit louder, and then a little bit louder. And the other voices of everybody that loves you, that would miss you, that would be devastated if you were gone, they start to get quieter just because this voice gets a little bit louder. And I had never before understood how somebody could kill themselves. I had had friends, I've had coworkers take their lives. And I always had that kind of separation from it of being like, oh, that's awful. How did they not know that we loved them and that we cared for them? And how did they not know that their families would miss them? And after I went through it, I was like, oh my God, like now I know, because you still know that those people love you. You still know that it's just so much more quieter. And the voice that's saying, I just want this to end. I want to not feel like shit every morning. I want to not be able to sleep because everything in my head is saying, you're a piece of shit. You suck. You're so mean to your kids. You're crappy at your job. You know, like you're not good at this. You can't do this. You forgot this. You left your kid here because you were too busy thinking about work. Oh God, work. I've got to deal with this tomorrow. I can't. You just want it to stop. You just want it. You're so tired and you just want it to stop. It's not that you want to die. It's not that you want to die. It's you just don't want to feel that shit anymore. You don't want to feel crappy anymore. And you're so fucking tired. You just want to sleep. And there's no way you're going to sleep unless you know. And that when I hit that level and that voice started getting louder, I was like, I got to do something. I can't keep doing this. I had 17 years in corrections. You got to work 35 to retire. So I knew I had to do more time. And I see you hear us talk. I had to do more time, like an inmate has to do time. I had to do more time to get out than I had already put in. And I looked ahead and I said to myself, there is no fucking way I'm going to be able to do it. I will either die on the job or die of a heart attack or die of some health related issue from working shift work, from being a stress case, from being depressed. I'll take my life because I don't want to be here anymore and I don't want to do this anymore. Or I might hit one of those waves of really good, you know, a couple good years again, be able to float through it, be able to make it through a couple more of those waves, get to retirement. And then what happens to most first responders when they hit retirement is they last 2, 3, 6, 8 months, and then they die because they're so stressed out. They leave the job. They don't know anything else beyond what to do. And that's it. And I said to myself, I was not put on this earth, and neither are any of you out there. None of you out there were put on this earth to work yourself to death. None of you were. None of you were put on this earth to allow yourself to get to that point where you feel like there is no other choice. I am telling you straight from my heart, I have been where you were at. I have been that person. Yes, you can. Absolutely. You 100% can come back from this. You absolutely 100% can come back from this. And it's tough and it is going to be hard. And you are going to have to pick yourself up repeatedly, and you're still going to fall down. There's still days where I get super anxious and I can feel a panic attack coming on and I have to stop myself and sit back and breathe. There's still times where, you know, those depressive thoughts come in. I think to myself, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm running a business and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm flying by the seat of my pants today. And it gets to you. But I'm telling you, there is light at the end of that tunnel. There is something that you can do. You have to just know it. And you have to just know that, yes, you're tired now, but everything that's going to come after this feeling of being tired, after this feeling of wanting to give up, is going to be so much more amazing than everything that you've dealt with. So much more amazing. The things that I have been able to do since I quit, the passion and the love that I have for my job, for running this business, for seeing new first responders, makes me the happiest I've been in my entire career. And I say to people now, there were so many steps along the way where the universe was telling me that corrections wasn't my path. There were so many little things where I could see that the universe was trying to push me in a different way. And I fought against it because in my mind, if I walked away from that career, I wasn't tough enough. I didn't have what it takes to be a first responder for the rest of my life. I was going to let the man get to me. I was going to, not be successful. I would be a failure. And as a super competitive person, as a perfectionist that I am, failure was not an option, right? And so you may be feeling that. You may be feeling like, but that means that I'm not tough enough. That means that I'm not good enough. That means that I can't hack this career. And maybe there's assholes in your workplace that are telling you that, because that's part of our mentality, is we're all tough and, oh, that guy couldn't hack it, he left, fucking loser, right? Yeah, okay. Or you change the story. You chose your wellness. You chose your life. You chose a better life for yourself, rather than you let this job turn you into somebody that you are not. That is above all, you get to make that choice.
Mic drop.
Mic drop, maybe.
Wow, Nick, like honestly, like I know you and I have chatted before, and the passion just it runs through your veins, and I, like, having known you for many years, the passion has always run through you in anything that you do, and I can only but appreciate that. And I think what you've just done, while I've been informed, I can truly say I'm not a first responder. I'm ignorant to what goes on behind the doors, and what goes on in that system. But I think you've just done a really good job of highlighting the systemic challenges that first responders deal with, especially ones who are in corrections, ones who are, police officers. And I'm sure it's no different for the FD and for the nurses and the doctors. I'm sure there's a lot of similarities that run through. And so I think, again, you've really highlighted, like what we're doing, the Wayfinders, what you're doing on your end with Blue Line Fitness Testing, and all the other brothers and sisters out there who are trying to band together to support one another, how important and vital that is to the longevity of your guys' lives. Truly, truly. And it's so thank you. Excuse me. Thank you for, being you. For fuck's sakes, thank you for being you. And we took a little bit of a segue, and I said we got a hard stop at 11:50, but I do want you just to finish off, and if you don't mind being kind of poignant on time here, you've stepped away, you've created a new life for yourself. You are a mother to 3, a wife to 1, I hope.
Yes.
Only one. Just tell us a little bit about Blue Line Fitness and how you're taking what you've learned and working towards change and support for those who need it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, so part of like Blue Line Fitness originally started with the goal to have a supportive technical based training ground for people looking to get into law enforcement. So we run the PAIR, the COPAT, the SOPAT, and the POPAT. So if you're in law enforcement, you know that those are the fitness tests you need to become police and corrections, border patrol, community peace officers. And so that was kind of the start, because there really is nowhere to go in Edmonton, well, in Alberta, where you can practice these tests. You literally, and everybody that's gone into there, they call you up and they say, okay, come and run this COPAT. And like when I ran it, there wasn't YouTube. I mean, that makes me sound so old, right? But there wasn't YouTube, and there wasn't websites that showed you the map. You literally showed up at the gym and you were like, oh God, what is this? Right. And hoped that you were fit enough to pass it. And if you weren't, bye-bye career that you dreamed about for your whole life. Right. And so that to me was ridiculous. I was like, this is stupid. Why are we not preparing these people? The turnover in law enforcement is so high. We need a constant stream of trained people. Why would we not help these people get trained and get ready to run these tests? So that's what Blue Line started as. That's our bread and butter. But along the way, again, as I kind of came into Blue Line and started dreaming it up, I don't want to just push people into these careers and then be like, have fun, go deal with everything that I dealt with without that support. And so the other side of Blue Line, which is really where my heart lies, is that continued support for first responders, for mental wellness, for PTSD, for, again, station stress, for just mental wellness. You know, we don't have supports. They can tell me all the time, oh, call Chappelle, oh, call EFAP, oh, call so-and-so. And so, you know, all of our employee support programs. Well, you call those people as a first responder. First of all, you spend half the dang half hour that you get with them explaining what you do, explaining the slang, explaining the jargon. Then as you talk to them, you see their eyes just get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're like, oh my God, what are you talking about? Like, and it becomes story time for them. And so here you are, you're pouring your heart out to these people looking for help. And it just becomes, and this is nothing against those psychologists. They're like, I mean, they're doing their best, they're trying, but it becomes like, I'm sorry, you saw somebody get their head stomped in? I'm sorry, what? Oh, I'm sorry, you did CPR on a dead guy. Oh, you saw somebody slash up. Oh, you've Narcaned 7 people in the same 15-minute period. Oh, and they have no idea. They have no clue. They have no idea what you're talking about. Like I said, it becomes a story hour. Whereas I want this to be, these are first responders that are coming. They're going to be dealing with another first responder who has been there, seen that, done that, and they're going to get the help that they need from another first responder, and not in an environment where we're drinking beers and we're having, you know, day 6 drinks at the bar at 2 a.m. as a way of dealing with things, because that's not healthy either, right? And we're not sitting up in the middle of the night talking to each other, talking our friends off a ledge, because we're going to have the help that we need before we get to that point. And we're going to build that mental readiness and those techniques and those strategies that we can, you know, share with our first responders, brothers and sisters, on how to protect yourself while that shit is happening, so that you don't get to the stage that I was at, where you feel absolutely betrayed and left alone and nobody's there for you. I don't ever want another first responder to ever have to go through that. That is awful, and nobody should be there. Nobody should be at that point. And if I can help in any little way, then that's my life. That is what I was put on this earth to do. I was put on this earth to help people. And that's what Blue Line is going to be about. That's what we're working towards. Our grand opening is on Sunday from 1 to 5. We just secured a new permanent location. I'm super excited about it, you guys. If you're in the Edmonton area, I'd love to meet you. I'd love to see you. Our address is 2121 84th Avenue, just off Y Road between 34th and 17th Street. We will be there. You guys can check out the space. You can come and meet me. I'd love to meet you and shake your hand. Well, you know, elbow bump you with COVID. But I would love to see you guys. I'd love to help anybody out that is looking for help. And even if it's just an ear to listen, and it's just you know, or an email or a text, I'm here. Like I said, I got your 6, guys. If you need it, I'm here for you. So that's us.
Nikki, again, we don't need any more words. You've just knocked it out of the park, and you know, you radiate passion for who you want to be on this planet, and to the people who need you. So thank you for being you. Thank you for your service, your past service, your continued service to other service members, and just for being the phenomenal person that you've always been for me and for everyone else. So thank you.
I love you guys. You guys have an amazing rest of your day. Take care of yourselves. Watch for your partners. Have each other's backs. Love you.
Thanks, Nick.